We are back with men liking stuff. It's the first men liking stuff of 2026. This has been a very, people are like, when is men liking stuff coming back to the channel? Men liking stuff is back on the channel. We got a big group, as you guys can see today, because we are talking about positive male role models. I did not screw that up until I talked in public.
The
Positive
role
male
models could
role,
work for the railways, so you might be
Yeah.
psychic in predicting something there.
right
God
there.
bless
Well,
Casey Jones.
we shall see. But we are talking about positive male role models in media because we often talk about the problematic elements of media. I'm like, let's talk about the good stuff. That's what men liking stuff is for. Now, you will recognize Julian, Bobby, and Helge, Mike, Grimm. Carl is new. So, Carl, welcome to Men Liking Stuff. We are going to start with you. What
Thank
is
you.
healthy masculinity according to you? Why did you want to talk about this topic? And tell us a little bit about yourself. So, you have the floor right now. You get to start us off on what is healthy masculinity before we get to the role models of it.
Sure. I'll present myself. I am Carl Perry. I work in security, and this is more my field of professional field. And what is healthy masculinity for me? To me, it's strength that protects, that does not dominate, as in like more safety, more fairness, shown of accountability. Um, Also, a shown of emotional honesty without self-abandonment, showing or talking about feelings, processing grief, guilt, fear, without turning it into a weapon, bitterness, or aggression. Also, naming someone who's able to name their emotions, allow the feelings and emotions to coexist. Tenderness as courage, led with hope and softness. Kindness is not weakness, and empathy at a reasonable matter.
Wow, we started in the right place this week. Okay, that was Carl. Welcome to Men Liking
hmm
Stuff. That I think we can
All
all say
right.
we like that. Julian, you've been on my content a lot. Do you have anything to add to what Carl said? Do you want to back up anything he said? Like that threw a lot of red meat on the table, and I don't eat meat, so go ahead, talk.
Yeah, it was pretty close to what I have. For me, healthy masculinity is a lot of that, but it's also a lot of men being allowed to, they can have leadership skills, they can have authority, they can have all the manly, uh, I'm a man things, but they can be gentle. They know
Right.
when to be gentle with people. They they know when to raise their voice, when to not. They know when to help somebody process grief. They know when to say man up and when not to say man up. They know when their little kid wants to go out as Princess Peach because they love that. They will dress up as Princess Peach for Halloween or the costume party or whatever, or Daisy, whichever one it is. I'm sorry, I'm not up to speed on my Nintendo princesses, but that's basically what it is, and it's not really that hard to me to figure it out, provided you've had a good. I hate to say have a good upbringing because there's more to it than that, but provided you have, in touch with your emotions, you have a good thing going on. And yeah, that's basically it for me there.
No, I think we'll go to Bobby next because you mentioned costumes and Bobby is wearing the red Power Rangers uniform. Oh, Kitty has joined. Hi there, Ronnie. Yes. So, Bobby,
Hi, Kitty.
anything to add? Anything to back up? I think we're going to get a lot of agreement on
hmm
what's been on the table, but what do you want to either, yes, plus one or add to the conversation on healthy masculinity?
So yeah, I mean, those two guys said it fantastically already, and amen to all of that. And also, I think you know, living as true to yourself as you possibly can, because not everyone can be the one thing, or even not e each of us. We can't only be one thing. It's like, I mean, look at me. I'm dressed as a Power Ranger. I have a Spartacus background, and I have a Disney princess. doll right here, so I am not one thing, and it's living as true to yourself as possible in a way that doesn't hurt anyone, and also, this is nuts. I only thought of this earlier, but if any of you know the movie The Young Victoria, where I think Julian Fellows wrote that as well as Downton Abbey, and the whole plot of the movie is Victoria is it's about Queen Victoria in her reign, and she's deals with people constantly trying to use her as a chess piece or whatever. There's like a whole chess metaphor going on, and the thing she learns about it's not dominating one person or being dominated. It's finding someone to play the game with you as an equal. And it's like, I think men and women should see themselves as equals. And, we each work together to understand each other and we help each other to make the world a better place, if that makes any sense at all.
Oh, that was great. Okay. Mike, what do you want to add to the discussion about the masculinity? Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Just kind of like echoing like emotion things, because like my definition I came up with was like a healthy masculinity as a man like living a life that allows him to experience the full range of e- of emotions, and like kind of they kind of live that out by kind of like self like care, like helping others, like if they have like certain duties required of them, like they meet those duties. So it's kind of like, yeah, like like nice, like full like the full range of humanity, like not just like the sadness, not just the joy, but you kind of experience every all ups and downs of like a masculinity, and like and express it and expressing those in a healthy way.
Okay. Awesome. And I did not intentionally do anti-beard discrimination. I apologize, guys. I'm just going clockwise on my screen. But Grim, welcome back. What do you have to add to this discussion? I know you have very strong feelings on this topic.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out of left field a little bit here. Um, I don't know what healthy masculinity is, and that's part of the reason I wanted to come on here to see what people are discussing, because I don't think there has been the same sort of period of reflection and redefinition for masculinity as there has been for femininity, and I don't think much of a space has been created to do that. Um, I was very disappointed in the sort of men's rights sphere, and their approach to it. And before them, that mythopoetic men's movement didn't really do it for me either. So I have quite a complicated relationship with masculinity, and it's because I don't really know what it is, and I don't think we've redefined it yet. That's why I'm here.
And one of the things I had on my list is healthy masculinity is saying when you don't know something. So if that hadn't been
You're
brought up yet,
demonstrating the example.
that's awesome. And thank you, Graham, for making me sound like a trend center in this. I love it. So, Jan Helge, I know you also have very strong feelings on and to plug your book, Ismark the Mark Boy, I think there's a lot of themes in that book about this very topic. So I'm very curious about what you're going to say.
Well, thank you. There's been a lot of good suggestions. What Grim just said was also kind of, I want to echo
On
that
point,
sentiment,
yeah.
because and also especially what you just said, that was actually going to be my thing, was that you have to be able to admit when you're wrong or when you don't know something, and also be able to show the curiosity and the attentiveness to actually, especially if it is a child involved in this sort of role model relationship, that you show the curiosity and the attentiveness to actually try to lead the child into the right type of attitude towards, well, basically life in general. So but yeah, I'm kind of in Grimm's camp when it comes to I don't really know anymore because
Mhm.
it's become so. I would almost say that it's like the that U.S. Supreme Court justice said about porn that I'm not sure what it is, but I know when
Know
I
it when I
see it.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely know what it's not, and it's not a lot of the stuff that we now see promoted as masculinity.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grimm is right that there hasn't been a redefinition because I mean, a lot of the classic tropes, a lot of the classic literature happens pre, stories did different things before we got kind of this monotheistic, morality driven instead of Hercules strong, that whole thing, the kind of feats of daring. So, Grimm, I'm going to put you on the spot because you say you don't know. But I mean, you're making a strong statement with the Planet of the Apes background. Um, who is a pick for a positive male role model since you don't really know how to define the term you're archetyping?
Fictional or factual?
Well, fictional, if you can tie in factual, all the better. We're just looking for examples precisely so we can have a conversation about it.
Um, I have been racking my brains and mostly coming up short. Um, I think a fictional example that I see as something of a role model would be Colin Firth's character in Kingsman,
Okay.
right? He is a gentleman first and foremost, right? He is polite, he takes care of himself, he takes care of those around him. He's part of this secret organization that protects the world. That's taken to an extreme, obviously, but to me, that's a lot of the traits that I tend to admire in other men, but I don't know that it's necessarily what defines masculinity. Because there's that brilliant fight scene in the pub, right? And the
Right.
lads coming up to him are unreconstructed, ungentlemanly masculinity in its more sort of raw form that you'll run into at a football match or a inner city secondary school. So that's like a conflict between these two different kinds of masculinity. Um, I try not to have heroes or role
Hmm.
models in real life because they always have feet of clay. The only person who I think hasn't let me down is Alan Moore so far.
I
So
was going to mention him about um the Kingsman because you've read League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? The
yeah,
deconstruction of James Bond and the problems with that trope, and it did feel like the Kingsman went, yeah, we can do something more with this basic archetype. I mean, he was the one that Alan Moore just excoriated as he got into
mm.
that series. So, what is it about him, other than that he's right all the time, gets laughed at, keeps being right, that sort of appeals to you?
He's his own man. He stands by his principles, which is something I try to do, even when it costs him an enormous amount of money when it comes to Hollywood and so on. And he's just kind of joyously weird. So
Joyously
I like
weird is
that.
a wonderful tagline. Yeah.
I need to
That's
adopt it.
joyously weird. Like I want like buttons and a mug and everything like that now. Well, but now Grimm
Yeah.
said it in public, so we all know it came from him, so I can't steal
Yeah.
it. Not that I would anyway. That's wrong. But okay, where do we want to go next? Because does anybody else kind of feel the same? Did anybody else struggle with finding examples?
Oh
Or
yeah,
yeah, okay, Jan Helge, you take the floor then.
Yeah.
Where'd you
Oh
end up?
well, yeah.
yeah. Well, I joked before the recording started that I was going to mention the Emperor of Mankind, uh,
And they did this whole
but
thing that
The Emperor
overwhelmed
protect.
Julian
yeah,
and Bobby, who know nothing about Warhammer 40K.
yeah. Sorry. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I did struggle because it is. but then again, it is this sort of this if we don't actually sort of have anything to ground the idea in, it's very hard to sort of extrapolate some sort of example out of it. So it's as as I grew up, I always felt very sort of connected to the kind of loner um male role model, sort of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi
The Ronin.
types. Yeah, the Ronin, the sort of solitaire but wise type of character. Uh, and there was something that Grimm also said that I think is kind of important to also highlight, and that is principles. To sort of have the foundation that okay, these things are important to me. These things I need to actually stand by, and I need to show that I stand by them. Because right now, in the world that we are living in, there are very few principled people. It's far more about the team sports. It's far more, okay, what is my side now saying about something? And you just go along to get along. So I yeah, I think that the sort of the loner, the outsider that sort of has been not necessarily shunned by society, but kind of has taken the George Carlin attitude towards society, that they're more a spectator now because they're principled, and they need to hold to those principles. And yeah, on the same level as Al Moore, I think George Carlin was someone who was always followed his principles and would have probably had us fun with the world we're in now.
That sound is him spitting in his grave, I think, right now.
We could solve the energy crisis by just hooking George Carlin up to the energy grid.
Yeah, like George Carlin's grave in my mind became this TARDIS and started spinning through time and space at the thought of that. And that's a segue to go, Julian, about
How did I know?
yeah, see, I'm the queen of the segue. Who is, I don't want to assume, but who is your pick for a positive male role model?
Optimus Prime,
Okay.
aka Peter Cullen.
Okay. Unpack.
And I'm going to be specific because I know there's I don't even know if there's up to 17 different versions of Optimus Prime at this point.
The one
But
I'm most familiar with is the 80s into the comics
I
version
think
of him.
I'm going with the G1, the 80s
Yeah,
cartoon
okay.
Optimus Prime. When he was creating the character, he basically had to have a talk with his brother. And he's full out said this in many interviews. His brother Larry was a U.S. Marine Corps. And he basically said, look, I'm playing a truck, but eventually he did say this truck is going to be a leader of people. And his brother told him, okay, you want to be authoritative, you want to promote trust, you want to promote leadership, but you have to make sure he's gentle. And he took that to heart. The original Optimus Prime is literally he takes the time to talk to all of his troops. He knows them very well. He's gives them an ear when they need it. He's very patient with the humans who, frankly, in that never get more than one brain cell ever. But whatever. Not going to go on that tangent, but still, he's still very patient with all of them. But he displays confidence even if he might not have it. He doesn't put you down because you did something wrong. He has admitted he was wrong. He made wrong choices. He has made sure that his troops understand if they did something wrong, why it was wrong. He didn't just punish them and say you're wrong. He said, okay, do you understand why? Great. Now you're going to clean up all this mess. So, to me, he's one of from my childhood, he was one of the big influences of a positive male role model from fiction. But,
Yeah.
it's Peter Cullen putting a lot of himself and his brother into it.
Yeah.
So, number 2 is the Doctor, just so you're aware. I know
There
you're
we go.
I know you're waiting for that.
Is there a specific one? Because we had kind of a tongue-in-cheek conversation that has lingered with me.
13 is an excellent one.
Yeah.
13 is an excellent, Jodie Whittaker is an excellent example of a positive male role model. She is confident. She is funny. She never displays any, I don't even know how to put this. When there's an excellent scene with Stephen Fry where he said, the Doctor is a man. And she goes right up to him and goes, hi, I've had an upgrade. She never hides away from the fact that she's a girl, which great. Again, displaying the confidence. She calls her companions her fam. She's involved with them. She knows them. She helps them where she can. I would like to have seen her open up a bit more about herself. That's a common thing with the Doctor, not really doing that, but yeah, she is an excellent example. David Tennant, I think, is an even greater one because not only is his 10 and 14 excellent examples of positive male role models, in real life, he's an excellent example. He had literally got asked, can you show up in drag and do a really silly dance for the skit on the Catherine Tate show? And he went ahead and did it, no questions asked. And look at what's going on in the world today when drags try to do anything like read a book.
Yeah.
He was up for it. Nobody's questioned. Okay, I don't question his masculinity for doing that. He was up for it. He has a non-binary child that he supports and loves unconditionally. He stands up for their rights. I think he has every right to say a few nasty things about J.K. Rowling, and he has not. He keeps it very civil. Especially when asked if he's going to be in Harry Potter, his response was, I don't think J.K. Rowling thinks of me as her favorite person right now. So no. So, and he was very polite about it. So
yeah. Now, going back to the 13th, I laughed when you first said it, but then I thought about those conversations with her and Graham on the show. And they're written as two older men who have experienced a lot of loss. And so there's a lot exchanged in those scenes that they don't have to explain to each other. And I was sitting there going, what is happening in this? This is oddly well done. And then, I mean, the big criticism of that series was it was bad writing. So what do I know? Grim, you've had your proverbial hand up for a while. What did you want to add?
Yes. I came this close to saying the Doctor for my example.
Okay. What stopped you?
But
Just the iterations?
I kind of figured someone else would probably do it, and there's so many different interpretations of the Doctor as well. For me, it would be either Pertwee or Baker. That may just be my age and preferring the older Who series. But for me, the character of the Doctor, for me at least, is better when he is the kind of teacher and the wandering weirdo, the wise man, to sort of a Gandalf-like figure. I think it's interesting, particularly though, because when Doctor Who started, it was very much intended to be an educational show.
mm-hmm.
So he was kind of always seen as the teacher, the mentor, the guide, and the companions were stand-ins for the audience. What's going on, Doctor? Ah, have an info dump. So I think that kind of plays into all of this. It's right there from the start. He's a teacher and mentor.
Yeah. And I think when the show goes off the rails a bit, they forget that he's not an action hero. He doesn't solve problems with guns. He doesn't solve problems with his fists. does weird things with things that look like large quantities of chewing gum, and we all buy it. And that's sort of the genius, the imagination of it, which I think is quintessentially British, that sort of turning masculinity on its head, the way they did. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because you see that in
Eccentricity.
you see that in Terry Pratchett's work as well.
Mm. And in Pratchett himself, I
Well,
think.
yes, I mean, yeah, but sticking in. Oh, and Helge, you've got your hand up. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, since we are on the sort of solving things with a stick of gum, MacGyver could also be someone who could be seen as a positive male role model, apart from the constant uh switching of girlfriends. But then again, that was more of a girl of the week that they had.
It was
Who,
a product of the time. The new
yeah,
MacGyver show was much better than I thought it was going to be. I don't
yeah.
know
I
if you
haven't
can
I
even
haven't
watch
watched.
that anywhere.
I'm too much of a Richard Dean Anderson fan to sort of
It sort of
watch the new one.
went into joyously weird territory because the leader of the team was this like woman. She's a dwarf. That's not calling her a mythical figure. She is a little person. And there was a talking robot, and it got really off the rails. But the new version of him, he was okay with people making fun of him for being a nerd. And he had sort of this quiet, like, it's okay to underestimate me deal to the new character. And I really, really enjoyed that. That's another way to segue into Bobby. Bobby,
Oh,
I'm very
Jesus.
curious what you're going to say. It's not the Red Power Ranger, is it? Your pick?
Oh no, I mean, I decided I would, just be. I don't know. You can tell me the adjective for this, but I'm not going to choose either. For my first one, I'm not going to choose either the costume or who I have in my background.
All
But
right.
you won't be surprised when I say it because at the moment on my YouTube channel, I'm constantly talking about Disney films, and I'm only in the last year or so recently discovering my love of the princes in the canon. The we always talk about the princesses and forget about the princes. And my favorite Disney film of all time is Sleeping Beauty, and Prince Philip in that was literally my hero when I was 5 years old, and like. I won't say how many years later now it is, but so many more films later, and he is still my number one Disney guy. And as a kid, it was for very superficial reasons. He fought a dragon who was, hyped up as the most powerful being in the story, and he just went up against her and saved the day. So that was cool to me. But like now going back to it as an adult, and there's some things you watched as a kid when you go back and watch as an adult, it doesn't speak to you in the same way anymore. But I appreciate it even more now because Philip for me is sort of, I said this in a video I did last year where it's like he sort of encompasses that full spectrum of masculinity where it's even though we think of the Prince Charming as a character that was everywhere or overused, it never really was. Because like Philip is only the no in the first two Disney movies, Snow White and Cinderella, the prince had just a small role because the animators still weren't confident in drawing a realistic human man, so they kind of had to keep their role small. But by the time of Sleeping Beauty, they were more confident, so Philip got a little more to do, and it's like in addition to being, the action hero who, fights the dragon and saves the day, he also gets to be the sensitive love interest, where he's first introduced, riding through the woods, overhearing Princess Aurora singing, and he's like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And he just has to like hear the source of this beautiful voice, and he just like starts serenading her as well. She gets a little startled when he first shows up, but the way I read that scene is, he tells her that he's a friend, and then he just, starts singing, and the scene is staged in a way that he's telling her it's like, okay, you can go if you want, if I freak you out, go away. I'm not gonna, try and stop you from going. But there's that cute little moment where she's sort of pretending she's walking away and she hides behind a tree to check if he's still there, and then it looks like he's gone, so she's a little disappointed, and then she turns around and he's behind her, and it is like it just like a beautiful fairy tale scene of the two of them just falling in love in that moment. And then, Philip is also, he's been told he's been betrothed to this princess that he doesn't realize is her. And he's so head over heels in love with this new girl that he tells his father that he would give up the throne and everything because this is the woman he loves. And then he gets that, fantastic line like, Father, you're living in the past. This is the 14th century. And what something that I just was struck me recently is that he has no idea about magic or like this curse or anything that's going on in the background. And then Maleficent captures him because, he can break her curse, so she wants to keep him locked up. So in a short space of time, he finds out about, goblins and fairies and all this stuff, and he gets kidnapped by the literal mistress of all evil and locked in a dungeon where she tells him that she's going to keep him locked up for 100 years, and then release him to break the curse so that everyone will be as miserable as possible. And he's just, he has no idea how to deal with any of this. But then when the three fairies break him out and tell him what he's going to do, he's like, okay, what do we do? He doesn't even say anything. He just follows their lead. And, whatever Maleficent throws at him, he does his best to withstand and just, he will stop at nothing to save the woman he loves. And I think that's very powerful to me, especially because Leanna knows I've ranted about this for days. That Disney movies got a lot of bad faith criticism in the 2000s for supposedly sending terrible messages. But I found that the movies made before the revival in 2009 are speaking to me with the way the women are treated in that versus the way they are after the revival. Because, like in Princess and the Frog, which was the first revival movie, Naveen tells Tiana, "Oh, if you kiss me, I'll turn back into a prince." Tiana says no twice, and he lies to her to get around her boundaries to get what he wants, and she still falls in love with him. And then in Tangled, Flynn Rider is just, really nasty to Rapunzel, and he just like spends half the movie belittling her until suddenly he turns over a new leaf because the plot says so. And the same thing with Kristoff and Frozen, who I used to stan Frozen, so this isn't nostalgia talking. And when I rewatched it kind of recently to do a retrospective on it, I was enjoying it, and then I checked out the second Kristoff showed up, and I just spent like the rest of the movie just, feeling so sorry for Anna that she had to put up with this guy. And so I'll try not to ramble on too much, but I noticed that all the princes from before that, they would never speak to the women the way Naveen speaks to Tiana, the way Flynn speaks to Rapunzel, or the way Kristoff speaks to Anna.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like in because with the heroines in the 90s, which was the girl power era, I've noticed that the romances tended to develop on the women are like, okay, I'm up here, buddy, and you got to join me up here if you want me to give you the time of day. And so the men improve themselves to be worthy of the women and they meet them where they're at. And post 2009, it's like you got a lot of man-child characters who are down here. The women are up here, and it's almost like they lower their standards, and they're the ones who have to fix the men. And it's kind of there in Moana, even though it isn't a romance, because Maui's the man-child, and Moana has to fix him as well. So I'm just like looking back on these classical examples and finding kind of more in there that
Yeah.
I think we could go back to a bit.
Yeah, it speaks to the morality of the time. Julian, you got your hand up. What's up?
Hmm.
I'm sorry. The smart ass in me will not allow somebody to mention Frozen and not have me say, let it go.
Let it go. I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna not sing.
I was one of those annoying people who played it on a loop over and over again, so it's like I have earned that, bollocking. So I will never
Okay.
cease my penance walk.
We're not gonna let Carl
by
go
the way,
last because go ahead.
I just want to mention I am from the town that inspired Frozen.
Hmm.
He's true.
Arendal in Norway.
So Carl, you're the new person on the panel. I'm curious as to what you brought because you came very prepared for the first question.
Yeah,
So,
Yes, I
he's gonna
came
blow
up
us all away.
prepared with 10. I actually had like 10 ready for today.
as have any of them
It's
been
not.
taken yet? Because none of mine have been taken. People have come very close, but
None
okay.
so far.
Okay.
Not so far.
Give us your
Although
top three.
Okay, so top three. Well, I'll just make like the two will be more of a honorable mention.
Okay.
So for me, number three would be Richie Santos from Welcome to Derry.
Oh,
Oh,
I haven't watched that yet, but I've heard amazing things.
Yeah, so this is why it's for me it's more of an honorable mention because people who haven't really have seen it yet.
isn't the last name Santos, is he the character from it or is he a family member?
He is part, well, in the TV show, he is part of the Losers Club. Well,
Right. Okay.
that time
Right.
period.
Okay. Yes, he is a character from the book. Okay.
Yes.
The
Well,
past group.
yes. It's like he's more of a, to me is more like a role model for the little for boys, not for men, for boys.
Now, what is it
He's
about
really young.
him? Because the whole thing about the it mythos is society is the real monster.
Right, and that's actually why he pushes that away because he's just being himself. He's just being like the big nerd that just doesn't let anyone just tell him like what to do, to being pushed like to being someone else. He's really just Richie Santos himself. Like he's just being there for Marge. Like I don't want to spoil too much, but like he's just like he has this presence that just reassures others that are with him.
Okay. So the reassuring presence is what appeals to you with that character.
Yeah, a lot.
All right. What are your other
Okay,
two?
so my other two is Kratos from God of War. Well,
Good.
God
Someone
of
said it. I don't
War.
have to. All right, man.
Oh
I want
no.
to hear you defend this because it's a challenging one.
Okay. He does start off like rough. Like he had like a rough upbringing as a character, like before 2018's God of War. But then 2018 and upwards to Ragnarok, we see this transformation of his character. Like especially when it comes to accountability. And accountability, also like the growth that he goes with along with the other gods that well some try to kill him but some try to I don't want to talk too much because I have my other characters
Mhm.
like especially when he says like he the presence he has with Atreus with his son it's just so inspiring as a role model for fathers or single dads.
The reason he's on my list, and Helge, I'm sure you'll have something to say about this, but in the first three plus two games, he is literally the ideal Spartan man. It's a deconstruction of what men were supposed to be back
Right,
then, right?
right,
When he jumps to the Norse pantheon, he becomes more of a Norse archetype in
right.
that, he's been through some
Yeah,
shit and doesn't quite know what to make of it. He's just sort of muddling through, and I knew you'd have something to say about that.
yeah, because back because in when he was in ancient Greece, ancient Sparta, he he's used to like all this grand power. Like this, it's all about power in ancient Greece. Like you see, like Kratos is like he's muscled up, just like Zeus is.
Yeah.
But once he's um in Midgard, that's where you see like the other guards are not as ripped and chiseled that as he was, and even Kratos looked like he kind of just kind of like his
Dad
muscles
bod.
aren't as
Yeah.
yeah, he has more of a dad bod now, and you see like the other guys like Odin, even Thor, which actually I appreciate. It actually feels more lore accurate the way he just drinks and has this bigger dad bod.
And has red hair. I appreciated that. Yeah, Helge, you're actually in that part of the world. So what do you have to add to
Yeah.
this?
Uh, Especially the red haired part, because that is something that has been very important to me as a kid, because I grew up sort of admiring the Peter Madsen comic books called Valhalla, which is in my opinion, a far more. But then again, they follow the myths, not they didn't. He didn't try to make
Hmm.
something that was copyrightable. He was trying to show his love for the Norse myths. So that's one of the reasons why I love them more than Marvel Thor, which I sort of keep separate. But the thing is that and I love the idea of sort of seeing the entirety of Kratos as a positive role model, because the ability to sort of grow, well, not grow out of, but manage to sort of put that anger and that destructiveness
Hmm.
behind, to sort of channel that energy into doing uh, something more protective and something more uh well, constructive
And
is far better as a role model, because you
he's
see that
Right.
yeah.
everyone can go out of, like, they can grow out of that very angry, almost Andrew Tate like
I mean, the thing
attitude.
that people miss is when we join Kratos. I mean, the first act we see of Kratos in any God of War video game ever is a suicide attempt. He throws himself off a cliff. And so everything after that is now what, you
Mm.
know? And so the anger, I think, is part of it, but he's just, been taken over by the gods and been made to slaughter his wife and daughter. There's a lot going on. And I do find it interesting that in the first game, he's just defying every will of the gods because it's this sort of decline from being this ideal Spartan man, warrior, father. Being a father meant something completely different in Sparta. It was more an example than a hands on dad. And then he kills everybody and has to move because he's literally reduced the Greek pantheon to gray waste. And then it's very different, and he almost becomes this anti Odin figure, which makes sense because they set up Odin as an antagonist, where Kratos is told the future, and he goes, because the future is like one glimpse on a temple wall. And he's like, well, okay, I know this. And what it shows is it's ambivalent. He's kind of lying, fallen, and his son is sort of behind him. It looks like his death. And so he sees that that's his future. And he just sort of goes, whatever, man, as long as my kid's okay, we're doing this. And you think it's going to be another self destructive thing, but it's not. He's actually just sort of going, whatever will be, will be. I'm going to be a dad this time because I got a second chance and I do not want to screw it up. But he is still very much him. I mean, the fact that when I streamed that game, I was saying the line right before he said it. And I think it's another performance. What's the name of the guy? I can't believe I've forgotten. Uh,
Hilk from Stargate SG-1.
yes.
Chris
What's the
Judge.
actor's name? Chris
Yeah,
Judge. Yeah,
Christopher Judge. Yeah,
freaking spectacular job, man.
yeah.
Okay, Carl, what's your third one?
Okay, so this is my number one pick. My childhood that I used to grow up with. Batman, the animated series.
Like Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Yeah.
Now, why?
So compared to every other iterations of Batman, to me, this is the one that feels the more grounded of the Batman. That like more lately we have the Batmans that are more like try to be darker and edgier than the last.
Yeah.
But this one, to me, it just sticks on a personal level more on why he applies his no kill is that he has a lot of compassion and empathy and being more hopeful for the people and the villains of Gotham to be better people.
Did anybody else grow up on this show? Because this was like a big thing. Yeah, okay. Mike, what do you think about this? Do you feel the same way about him?
Yeah, because Samika's the reason why I like that Batman versus other Batman is you see him actively trying to redeem the villains. I
Right.
remember one I'm spacing on the villain's name, but the guy controlling a gangster a puppet.
Scarface.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
is this
No,
no
Two-Face.
no
No.
the puppet that had like a Tommy gun.
Yeah, the
So
ventriloquist
Oh,
with
right,
Scarface.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, because I remember an episode where the puppet's destroyed, and then we see like later it's like as Bruce Wayne, he hires the guy, you know, who like was controlling the puppet, so like try to give the guy, you know, a second shot, like that's why I kind of like that Batman because like he's out also like as Bruce Wayne trying to enable the like the people are like is like the villains to become better. I also remember like there was an episode where it's like you know Harley Quinn where she gets let out of Gotham and the same thing he as Bruce Wayne not Batman tries to appeal to their better nature and help them along. So I like that Batman because like it's the more whole package. Like you get the darkness and all that, but you also kind of get the hope and not just one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Good. Anything
So
else you want to say about Batman, Carl?
yeah, because because what he does is that he rehabilitates in his own way rather than just leaving him at Arkham Asylum and call it a day. No, like he he mentioned earlier about Harley Quinn when they actually both like they both spend the day and then together and then oops, Harley Quinn just does something pretty shitty and gets caught, and then Batman brings her back to Arkham, and then she asks, "Why'd you stick around when I keep giving you trouble all day?" And it's Batman's response that's very empathetic from him, saying, "I know what it's like to try rebuild a life. I had a bad day too once."
I recall the Mr. Freeze content on that cartoon being you too, Julian. I recall that being quite emotional. Yeah?
Yeah, that kind of
Yeah,
sort of redefined the character in public consciousness, wasn't it? And then
Oh yeah.
Batman and Robin kind of tended to use that plotline as well.
Mm-hmm.
Batman even said, as he's hanging upside down, captured by Mr. Freeze, he even says, I'm so sorry to him for everything that's happened. Like he's displaying empathy.
Yeah.
He's not just about to beat him within an inch of his life because he's a criminal. He understands it.
Yeah, I mean
It's-
that origin with Victor Freeze's wife was always in the comics, but they centered it in a way. Yes, Carl.
Yeah, not to interrupt.
It
Uh,
was your pick,
there-
so you're taking it back from the interruption. It's
okay,
all good.
all right. There's also probably my favorite thing that actually made me cry in all of the Batman and Justice League Unlimited was the actual final episode when when Amanda Waller she wanted to eliminate Ace, and that Batman volunteered to have her killed. Like he was going to kill her. At least that's what he made Amanda Waller believe. But instead, like she gave him the device to end her life because she was going full on Red Scarlet,
Right.
and just if nothing is done, it's gonna kill everyone around. So he just goes up to her and just tosses the device out. It just stays quietly with her, just present. Just it's really warm, tender moment, even from Batman. That even if she is a villain, but he understands where she comes from, which is why he knew that she was dying, and then she just passed away.
Yeah, there's a wisdom in Kevin Conroy's Batman that's been lacking from other depictions of the world's greatest detective. I'll definitely agree with that. Yeah, I'm giving the Robert Pattinson character a little bit more time to grow. I think there might be potential there.
Yeah,
But
I
And
need
he's
to
meant to be
watch that
coded as a bit
again.
younger, isn't he? Yeah.
yeah, it was like a year 3, I think they said. There was there's a start there that I see potential with, but definitely they keep trying to out grimdark themselves on Batman, and I do agree
Yeah.
that I think the thing that defined Batman for a generation was that animated series, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so let's get to Mike because he has to go. Well, I saved my picks for last, but Mike, if you've only got one, no problem. If you've got a list, top three.
Well, my top three. Number one is Sam Gamgee from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Two,
I have a
um,
Lord of the Rings character too.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. Two is Marcus Phoenix from the Gears of War games.
On my list too. Okay.
And then number three is John Sheridan from the TV show Babylon 5.
Oh, I love you, Mike.
Okay. Discuss. Sam, I think we all agree on, but what are your
Yeah.
reasons for liking Sam?
Well, Sam, because he's kind of like, that motto, like, brave, loyal. But what really sells him is like he doesn't have to be in charge. Like you see, because he's like always kind of like in the background, like when like important things are being discussed. But he's never like, okay, we have to do it my way. He's like, okay, you're in charge. I will follow your lead, but he's still always helpful. Like he literally carries Frodo. He throws down with a giant spider demon. He charges a tower full of orcs. So he does like all those like traditional, like like heroic, like masculine things. But he's never like, I'm the one in charge. I have to dominate people. He's like, nope, I just have to do my job. Um, Marcus Phoenix, because he's like to me the embodiment of like when the tough gets going, like when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Because like like he's just kind of like, especially when you meet the first game, gets put out of prison, gets thrown into a war zone, but he doesn't shirk his duty or like it's like, nah, this is not my problem. So he's very much like, okay, I've been like, duty responsibilities been thrust on me, I'll take it up. But he never kind of like forces his friends or like his squad mates to like carry his emotional burden. Like like with Dom, he's very supportive, like in that gruff masculine, like, yeah, I feel you, by way. But he's like very supportive of Dom and his search for his wife and all that. um and then kind of like last one, John Sheridan. To me, he's kind of like almost like that, like the character of most of the ideal leader, because he does like the hard things, but it's not always the kind of like smash. Like he leads, but he doesn't try to dominate. He tries to like, okay, hey guys, this is how we're going to do it. He explains why, and he tries to find like the non-violent solutions. But when you get sucked into an intergalactic war, and it's like, well, okay, we gotta throw down. I'll throw down. And also, he's not afraid to kind of risk his life. Like kind of spoilers for a 30-year-old show. He goes to Zada Doom to like throw down with like basically the embodiment of evil in that show. I was like, okay, I'll walk basically into hell and like and try and like like try to fight you and like like reason with you, but see reason. Okay, I'll throw down. So so those are my top three picks.
I
And
have such an intense fondness for Babylon 5. I think everybody just got very excited with that one. Yana Helge, what do you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate my love for Mike because of his pick of John Sheridan. That is actually a character I should have thought of
Hey,
because he is such a principled man.
yeah,
I mean, he does not, again, spoiler alert, he does not want to go against Earth
yeah.
at all. He doesn't want to do it, but he gets pushed into it because of his principles, because of what he values above all. And we could definitely use a leader like that right now
Oh, yeah.
in both in both Europe and in the US or in North America. So yeah, he's absolutely a positive role model. I would also add two others that are kind of similar. You have Benjamin Sisko from
Yeah.
DS9, and you also have the Ranger Marcus, who is probably one of my favorite characters from that show, from Babylon 5, because he is such a lovable rogue,
Yeah.
but he's also very vulnerable and is able to be vulnerable whenever he needs to.
Yeah, if you are a sci-fi fan, those watching, and you have not seen Babylon 5, other than the last season, do yourself a favor and watch it.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't actually watched it, but I've heard good things. Yeah.
I love that show. I am
We need to
I have
holding
to
Monomath is
back.
watch it.
God.
I have to watch it.
Yeah,
Watch
it
party on the Discord when?
yeah,
I
we'll
have
just
all
not
the
watch the
episodes.
fifth season. We'll not
I
watch the
have
fifth season.
all the episodes on DVD, so we
Well,
could
there
do
we
that.
go.
They
Yeah.
re-released the whole
Why
thing
haven't
on
we done it
Blu-ray recently
already?
too.
Yeah, Mike, the Lord of the Rings character I had was Faramir,
Yes.
who I'm fascinated by the trope of the second son, but also like that guy, if he can keep his head up, anybody can. And I just thought like I was talking about the books. I think what's his name? David Wenham?
David Wenham. Yeah.
Yeah, he was perfect casting
Yeah.
for him in the movie, but they took out the scene I love for the books where he's just really trying to make Eowyn understand he's never going to be king, and she's like, I don't really care, because he was like not anybody's ideal as a guy, and she was, I mean, Tolkien saw that character as the most tragic in the whole thing because a woman had to do the role of a man, and the two of them were just so lovely together that I just, now we have all the Boromir would have memes, but that
Mhm.
really is it. If that guy can keep his head up,
Yeah, there's something
holy
about
crap.
Faramir that I've only kind of recently comprehended now that I'm old enough to understand is that, yeah, and Eowyn, she's kind of, in some ways, she's a death seeker, isn't it? And isn't it the implication that the Witch King's aura didn't affect her because she couldn't feel any worse about herself? And, Aragorn, obviously, movie and book canon tend to overlap in my head, so I can't remember how much of the attraction to him is in the books, but, obviously, she's not the one he picks, and, but she gets rejected, but she finds a great man right there, and she's able to see the value in him. And I think
Yeah.
that's a very
Yeah.
powerful thing. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the ones on my list were sort of on that theme. Superman, Hank McCoy, they were all like, guys, you don't have to be, the
Superman?
666 to, well, Clark Kent, right? The
Yeah,
whole, and
I
I really struggled with that one because I think that he would not have been on my list before Superman and Lois, and certainly before the James Gunn film. But
Yes.
the Superman and Lois Superman is, most of it is him being a guy in rural America trying to raise two sons. And it is a really, really good story. The finale of that show, if you don't like feel a twinge at some point, I don't know how. Yeah, Jan Helge.
yeah, I would also, it's sort of like if you want it, I know the actor has really become one of the biggest assholes in Hollywood.
Really?
But I would say Dean Cain's version
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah.
Superman was
Oh,
also,
mm,
yeah, was also a really good and vulnerable. This is again, it's a 90s show, so
Well,
um
they were both shows where it was about Superman and Lois. And I think
yeah,
that's where
yeah,
Superman really shines, where he's allowed to be that full person as opposed to the comics tend to, and the Snyder films tended to focus on the godlike power. And that's not
yeah.
Clark Kent,
No, exactly. And you also see that a lot in Christopher Reeve's
Hmm.
right.
Superman as well. Like he is willing to sort of even risk Lois to not to not to not risk her
Right.
later in life. Sort of like he is so willing to be the bumbling
Yeah.
fool in those movies that you sort of see him struggling, like Niagara Falls
Hmm.
uh, scenes in, I think it's the first one, right? Or the second?
What, the Superman
Remember?
films?
Yeah,
Oh, God, they all run together
yeah.
in my
That's
mind.
my
I've
problem
seen
with them
them
too. Is
too
that
often. Yeah.
yeah, but anyways, the only one I'm absolutely sure about is number three, and that's because that fucking robot lady gave me nightmares as a kid.
Like they're
So
not
Oh gosh.
those movies have so much cheese in them, and yet his performance, well, the performances in general, just
yeah,
kind of lifted it. Because they were
yeah,
dumb movies. And I say that
yeah,
the 78 film is one of my favorites of all time.
but that's the thing, is that he is so Clark Kent in those scenes from Niagara Falls.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is he saves her as Clark Kent, even though he could have saved her as Superman, but it is to protect her
Yeah.
eventually anyway, because if she knows he's Superman, she's putting herself in risk
Right.
as well. So it is it's Superman. Like if you watch those versions, and I haven't watched Superman and Lois or the James Gunn movie. I need to do. I actually need to do that. But the the ones that I really love is the TV series from the 90s, and also the original Richard Dunn
You'll you'll
directed.
probably like Superman and Lois then. Sorry, yeah, because it's the closest to Lois and Clark that they've done since it was designed to be a family show. Yeah, I kind of had a theme to mine. I had Hank McCoy, Beast. I had Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and then I had Ben Grimm. That was my list. And it was
Oh,
all kind
okay.
His
of,
theme was that they're all very, very cool.
well, that's the thing, right? I mean,
Oh, Ben Grimm's the thing.
they've, that was not intentional on my part. Thank you for catching that. Um, all guys that have something happen
Mhm.
and it affects them in a very, very visual way. And they all go kind of through a period. I mean, the X-Men comics just ruined Hank McCoy with that whole Dark Beast thing, which it screwed the character up so badly they had to reboot him from a version of himself in the 1980s. But that the way you see that theme again and again and again and again in Marvel comics of the guy who doesn't get noticed or even the guy who gets mocked, but who is actually a really great dude and he finds his lane and he finds a way to be content, if not happy, and then the rest of it just kind of comes. I do think that that was designed to give guys like the creators, especially Jack Kirby, hope. I mean, Ben Grimm is Jack Kirby's self-insert, which is why I like held my breath when in the current movie they have him in the synagogue and on the street, and the whole movie was a love letter to Kirby that people just didn't get. But those were examples of characters that guys created for guys like them to not sugarcoat the reality that you're not going to be any girl's maybe first choice, but you can still get good things if you just have some tenacity and, to echo what everybody says, be a good dude. And it's so weird that so many of the people who grew up, maybe they didn't read them, maybe they just played video games or something like that, but grew up absorbing, like consuming the exact same content I did. They didn't seem to walk away with that message because a lot of those guys are like deep in the manosphere right now. right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Carl, burn the rest of your list. Who was rounded out?
Okay, so I have okay, mention. Okay, well, I had the I'm just gonna go through my list. I have the Clark Kent from Superman 2025.
There we go.
Yeah, not much to say. Sorry, mostly
Mhm.
been said. Although he is a
Yeah.
bit different versus the uh, Clark and Lois show, like the more recent one. How
Yeah.
does it compare with the 2025 Superman?
Yeah, I mean, we did a whole men liking stuff on Superman, so if people want to watch
Oh,
that, they can
okay,
check that out. We did a deep dive on the differences between the David
okay,
Cornsweet Superman. Just burn through the rest of your list. I'll let Mike burn
okay,
through the rest of his list, and then we'll do a bit of a recap.
okay. This one is a Warhammer 40K character, and it's not the Emperor. This is
Brrrr.
Merrick Grimaldus, High Recluser of the Black Templars.
That's an interesting choice.
I almost said Heinrichs from Road Trader, so I'm very curious
Oh,
as to why Heinrichs van Kellogg's. So why did you pick that one real briefly?
so I picked has anyone read or watched the fan movie on YouTube of Hell's
Yeah,
Reach?
I
Yep.
have it.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth your time. Just Google it. It's just you can go in blind. It's really worth your time.
Or we could just watch it in the Discord channel together.
Yeah, that
All
too.
right, plug for the Discord channel. We will do that. Okay, awesome. You got three more?
Yes, I have Uncle Iroh from Avatar.
Oh, very good choice.
Yep.
Okay.
Good with that one.
And my last pick, my last choice, kind of similar to Iroh, but this is Splinter from the Ninja Turtles movie of 1990.
Hmm.
Okay. That, yes, there's a definite connection to those two.
There's a lot of similarities between the two, but I find Iroh and Splinter, they, they do their own things, but they all have like this very just that patience that that I love so much.
A lot of people say Iroh is a standout on Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is really saying something because that cast is so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mike, what's the rest of your list?
Well, it's just I also have an honorable mention of Susan Ivanova, also from Babylon 5. I didn't include her because she's, male role models, but yeah, quickly like she's Sheridan's second in command. She's through all 4 seasons. I'm refusing to acknowledge the 5th season only when I have to. Um, but
Ivanova is God. I will always listen to Ivanova.
See, I almost put
Big
Amos
boom.
from The Expanse on my list, but I'm like, I don't think I could pick one character from The Expanse. Has everybody seen The Expanse?
No,
I
Yeah,
I
did.
haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, great sci-fi. Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
That's okay. One of the actors
Very
is in
good,
that is in the
very
show
good
that I
book
had on my
series.
second list.
Oh, what's
Very
that?
good book series as well because it's the continuation, the part of the book series that they chose not to uh adapt is also very, very good.
Isn't
So
Owlcat doing games based on those? Spirit of Osiris, I think it's called.
From my understanding, is they're kind of picking up where the show left off, and they're adapting the material from the books that did not get adapted.
Yeah, you're
But
basically
yeah,
playing Carl. You're a security guard in the belt, right?
oh cool.
Like that's the opening. It's Owlcat. I will play
Yeah.
it. They're doing a Dark Heresy game too, which is like, oh my
Right.
God. I put almost 200 hours into Rogue Trader,
Oh
goodbye my
my
life.
gosh.
It's bad. I got so sucked into that game. Yeah, it's funny that there's so many in sci-fi. There's so many female characters that can be positive male role models. But back to that definition, I want to sort of land Grimm, you said you were here to kind of take it all in. Have we helped it all in that way?
Will you be upset if I say no, not really?
Nope. Nope. Because
Because
it's big
I knew
and
it.
we had an hour and a half. So where are you
yeah,
left?
that there are many different aspects that we're all picking on, and singling out, which says a lot, but doesn't help me really find a definition. What I have been trying to use as a definition is taking the definition of toxic masculinity and all the aspects of that, and then taking them back a bit, because like competitiveness is bad if you take it to excess, but it's not bad at the right level, or
Right.
strength or the potential for violence. Taken to an extreme, that's bad. At a lower level, it can be protective.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where I am, but it's not a very popular opinion. But
That's
I'm
really
none the wiser, but it's a useful discussion.
that's really interesting because I mean, part of the reason I wanted to do this discussion is because none of these characters are perfect,
Hmm.
obviously. And
Yes.
that's sort of
Except for Beast, maybe.
even he's got a lot of self-loathing
Okay, yeah.
that they actually nail in X-Men 97, which I thought was a very interesting character point. They actually like said the quiet part out loud there. But there perfect characters come from back in the day where yes, there were paragons. Nobody wants to read a story about a perfect character. You can't relate to them. You can't model a role with someone who's perfect. And I do think you really have um, hit the challenge of fiction with this stuff, right? Because one of the names that was on the server that started a real debate was, depending how you pronounce it, Kazuma Kiryu or Kiryu Kazuma from Yakuza. And
Hmm.
I think the Like a Dragon games, and I think he's a great role model, but people start to find all the flaws with him. He beats people up, he smokes, all that stuff. And to me, that's the whole point. He
Yeah,
was an
Yeah.
orphan. He had to construct his own whatever. And he just does absolutely everything all the way, like 110%. But he's got such a sweet core character that it doesn't fall into that toxicity that you
if you
mentioned.
want perfection, you go for Fulgrim as a role model.
And we know what happened there. For people who don't know what happened there, spoiler, he succumbs to Sanguinius and turns into a giant snake man. We were joking before we started recording. Carl was showing off his Sanguinius model, and it has the snake coils. And I'm like, is that a perfect ass? So,
No,
bad
his
or
Fulgrim
Is that okay
hammer
for sure now?
jokes.
Slanesh,
Yeah.
he succumbs to Slanesh.
That's
Yeah.
just half the part I
Sanguinius,
haven't filled.
Sanguinius is the
That
Sorry, did
ass.
I say Sanguinius? He's the Primarch.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was no, he's dead.
yeah.
Slanesh. Yeah. It I mean, that's a funny thing. The things that are chaos in Warhammer 40K are things like change and perfection, things that everybody is supposed to think are good things. And I think that's what's the challenge there. And I do think, going right back to the first thing Carl said, that idea of like judicious or benevolent use of power is really at the core of healthy or centered masculinity. And I mean that now we're talking about degrees of subjectivity that make it a real challenge. And I mean, maybe the thing that's interesting, a lot of characters that we pointed out, is as much when they get it wrong as they get it right.
Right.
Hmm.
Because, I'd love to have a conversation someday on, like, I don't know what you call these guys, like the ghoul in Fallout. Cooper, the Walton Goggins character.
Oh yeah,
Anti-hero?
the anti-heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not. I thought he was an anti-hero, but more and more it's a Jonathan Nolan hero. It's just a very complex guy
Well,
in a super fucked
well,
up situation.
you could sort of see this as the ghoul is almost a little bit more extreme version of the Pale Rider.
Very
Or
much so. Yeah.
So you have this sort of broken man who has seen too
Yep.
much.
Yep. Jonathan Nolan
The
has this ability to do guy in a really big world
Yeah, but
really, really well.
I also want to comment on something Grimm said, which is taking combining what you said about the chaos gods and also what Grimm said. Taking things to an excess is the problem. That is exactly what the nine evil Primarchs did. Is
Yeah.
that you take things too far. It's okay to sort of try to reach for the good, but when you start reaching for perfection,
It's the archenemy of the good.
yeah, yeah.
Terrible
So
Warhammer pun.
yeah, I know.
Oh, I thought it sounded clever, and I have no idea about Warhammer
The
at all.
arch
So.
enemy is one of the code words for the forces of chaos, so perfect is the arch enemy of the good.
Yeah, well, that's
It wasn't
shows
that funny.
how intelligent you are.
It wasn't that funny. I just had to make up for calling Slanesh Sanguinius. It's been a long day. Okay, so I guess we're doing anti-heroes or sort of broken men. Broken men would be a good topic, actually.
Yeah, what
Right now.
All
Cool.
right. Well, thank you guys for coming here and liking stuff. Thank you, Grim, for being our guide to the perplexed. And this has been an awesome conversation for me. I hope you guys watching have enjoyed it. I hope you guys on the panel have enjoyed it. And you know, we are an example of you ask 7 people and you get 9 opinions, but this is what you watch men liking stuff for. So does anybody want to add anything before we wrap, or are we all just tired and kind of done? And these were good, like exciting picks. Good job, everybody.
Only
We're
thing
good?
I'll add one thing from Star Wars, because out of all the sci-fi people we had
We said
nobody from Star
Obi-Wan.
Wars.
We said Obi-Wan.
Did we say
I said
Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan.
We
I
said
said
I missed
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to add
He
Jolie
snuck it
Bindo.
in. He said maybe, but we did say Obi-Wan Kenobi because we talked about the Ronin.
I missed Obi-Wan. So,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah,
I didn't
well,
realize we
who-
could retroactively add examples. So
Who else is there? Other
Jolie Bindo from Knights of the
Okay.
Old Republic video game.
Ah, okay.
Excellent example of healthy masculinity there.
All right, that's a good thing to leave on. Okay, thanks, guys. And remember, everybody out
Thanks.
there, like stuff,